What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. Welcome back to the Nerdy Narrative. I have my husband Chris here. That means it is time for another Star Wars book review for you. We've been following the chronological timeline that is the Star Wars Canon audiobook timeline. Well, what is currently considered canon, that Penguin Random House Audio Publishing put out. I will put a link to that list down in the description box below. We're talking about the third book on that timeline today, A Test of Courage by Justina Ireland. The audiobook was narrated by, I believe it's pronounced Keylor Leigh. I'm not sure how to pronounce her first name. She did a great job. No Mark Thompson, but he will be back with us in the fourth book in the chronological list. So let's talk about A Test of Courage. We'll start with a synopsis. So where we pick up in this one, we meet a young Jedi Knight, Vernestra, who's on her first assignment, which is more along the lines of glorified babysitting. Her charge is 12-year-old Avon Starros, who is smarter than the average bear and slippier than a greased pig. The two are on a cruiser ship that is headed to attend the dedication of a space cruiser called the Starlight Beacon, which is the line that ties in all of the books together that we've read so far. Their course is interrupted when, at dinner one night, a series of bombs explode on their cruiser, and the two escape along with Avon's android J6, another Padawan named Emery, and the son of an ambassador, Honest. In an attempt to find help and supplies, the group land on a nearby moon, where they then find out there is something there that does not want them there, and that's where our story picks up and carries on. How did you feel about this installment in the series, coming off the previous book that was a bit of a letdown for us? Did you like this one better?
Can you really call this one a book, though?
It's a novella.
It was only 6 hours, so you fly through it. I will say, the switch in narrators, while the narrator was great, like I didn't have a problem with that, it was a bit jarring because I had gotten accustomed to the other narrator, and then poof, all of a sudden we got somebody different. So that was kind of jarring for me, but I thought the story was good. Pacing was great. They didn't commit a lot of the sins from the other books where we like rehash the same thing over and over and over, or we do time jumping or all that. Like, it was just good. It was well written. Pacing was great. We got from A to B. You know, there was plenty of detail. The comedic relief was top notch. Honestly, I think this may be some of the best comedic relief in all of the books we've read so far.
Absolutely, because Justina Ireland did something that we all love as part of the Star Wars franchise. She gave us a droid, J6, and I don't care what droid they ever introduce in this franchise, it always steals the show, and J6 was no different.
I cannot remember the name of the droid from Rogue One. If you remember that droid's dry wit and sarcasm and how it just stole the movie in every scene it was in, that's this droid.
Absolutely.
Except this droid is like a female droid, and just it's almost self-aware. It's hilarious.
Well, so J6 is basically a guardian droid for 12-year-old Avon Starros. Except Avon, who is way more intelligent than she has any right to be.
She's tampered with the droid and made it kind of self-aware, and it worked a little bit too good.
Oh my goodness. The personality this droid had was just absolutely some of my favorite moments of this story. Yep. But there was another thing that Justina Ireland gave me in this book that I wanted. I've always wanted to know more about how Jedi make their sabers. And in this one, Vernestra has a very unique saber that's almost...
It's not a saber.
Unorthodox.
I don't think it's spoilery to say what it is, because anybody that's a Star Wars fan, if they've paid attention to anything that isn't the movies, they know about it. It's a light whip instead of a light saber. And as soon as they started going into, like the details of it without calling it a light whip, I knew what it was, and it was like, oh man, that's so good.
And it did eventually.
Yeah.
Another thing the author gave us that I found extremely interesting is how difficult it is for a Padawan to follow the way of the Jedi in the beginning. You're almost having to rewire your way of thinking to avoid all that would take you down the path of the dark side, but you can't help thinking about that path. And I love that we got a little bit of depth of character involving the Padawan Emery that was in this story. Justina Ireland just reawakened what I was looking for when we started listening to this series. She gave it to me. I'm so excited to know that she does have other books in this series down the line. In fact, the newest one coming out later this year or first of next year, she co-authored. So I'm very excited for that.
Setting is more of the same. Like it's not changing. We're 3 books in and we're still really harping on the same story from the beginning. Like it's still a continuation of that. Like we haven't gone off in a different direction. We're not on another planet with a totally different story. It's like a sequel.
So in ranking for the 3 books we've read so far, we know how we feel about the last one.
Okay, so I'm terrible with titles, but for me, in numerical order, it's 1, 3, 2.
So you still like Claudia Gray's Into the Dark first?
I do.
Okay,
Yeah.
I agree.
That
I did
one,
love that one.
for me, it hit.
But this one just had a lot of pluses for me as far as what I was looking for, which is more depth into the Jedi Padawan thought process, how they become a Jedi, how difficult that actually could be. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could live like the Jedi are supposed to live. I'm not that kind of individual. It's a very difficult path, and I'm just not wired that way.
Honestly, it's very similar to knights. I mean, like we're watching House of the Dragon, and you hear them make their pledges and stuff, and it's like, okay, so they're so Jedi are essentially space knights. Same thing.
It's not those.
It's not exactly to that degree, but it's very, very similar.
The King's Guard in the House of the Dragon is a completely different type.
But I mean,
of
that's like a knight's oath kind of a thing. The Jedi are very similar in that way.
I would agree. I would say 1, 3, 2 as well. But I really loved what Justina Ireland did with the story. I love how these different authors are taking the same thread that we began with, and they're weaving in their own stories while keeping that same thread, which is, I would say, the Starlight Beacon. The concept, the creation, and now we're getting to the dedication. So the next book, we're going to get more about the Starlight Beacon.
Oh, you looked ahead? Okay. Yeah, I didn't look ahead. I was wondering if, okay, we've now maybe moved in a different direction, but no.
Yeah, well, but our crew was headed to the dedication, so I believe the next book is going to pick up with that dedication of the Starlight Beacon. The next one is The High Republic, The Rising Storm by Captain Scott, and it is narrated by Mark Thompson, so we'll be reunited with him because we are going to see the reemergence of the Nihil.
And more of the same.
Possibly. So we're looking forward to diving into that one. We'll come back and review that one and see how our journey has changed, developed, continued. But for me, this one was a win. For you?
For sure, yeah.
You enjoyed it?
Although I would like a newer, different villain. Can we stop with the Nihil? I mean, there's so much in the Star Wars universe. Can we just, like, I don't know, go somewhere else? Do something different?
Well, I don't know enough about the High Republic era to know if they're prevalent throughout, and maybe the High Republic ends with the devastation of the Nihil. Who knows? If you all know, you can drop that down in the comments below. But if you're going to list any spoilers for anyone who may not have read the series yet, make sure to just type spoilers, enter a few lines, so that for anyone who may want to stay completely spoiler-free. Well, guys, that'll do it for us today. A short, quick review for a novella that we enjoyed. It has reignited my excitement for the series. I'm looking forward to the next book. How are you feeling? You ready?
I am.
Alright guys, well we're going to get started on the 4th book, The Rising Storm. We'll check back in when we get that one read. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll catch you in the next one.